Hello and welcome to Qsports. I'm Mamudu Gajaga. Thank you very much for joining us. Tonight on the show, we're going to talk about Paralympic sports or disabled sports as many would call them. Well, we call them disabled when they are more than the word able, but just in a different way. And they have achieved tremendous success in both local and international sports in diverse fields. Haji Drame, the Media Officer of the Gambia National Paralympic Committee, will be joining me later. And also, Anna Karins, world champion, Olympic champion, Swedish champion in wheelchair table tennis, is my guest on the show. And very shortly, we are going to get along. Anna Karins is a Swedish in a wheelchair table tennis player and also Paralympic champion. She represented Sweden at the 2008, 2012 and 2016 Summer Paralympic Games, and she won gold medal in the singles and also silver medal in the team sport at the 2012 Summer Paralympic Games. Anna, welcome to Qsports.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be on the show.
We're going to start with, of course, COVID-19, the impact that it has on global sports. Obviously, no doubt, wheelchair table tennis as well. You could not go out for your sporting competitions. Everything is on hold. The Paralympics and also the main Olympic Games have all been cancelled and moved to next year, 2021. Tell us, how have you been coping with this?
In Sweden, we haven't been in lockdown, so we have been able to train as normal. But the rest of the world has been in lockdown, so it's been quite a very difficult situation to handle. No competitions, no training.
In terms of training, have you been able to do your practice?
Yeah, I've been luckily to have trained as normal.
How about the impact that it has when it comes to the cancellation of the Paralympic Games from this year to next year?
It was, of course, the right decision to make. No one knew how big this were to be. And if we are to have a world game...
In terms of also your international exposure, you are 48 years now. As an athlete, you're an Olympic champion, you're a world champion, and also a Swedish national champion. How far can you go? Is it that age has no significance when it comes to your performance?
I don't know about that. Hopefully not, because I'm probably one of the oldest in my class. But I think that it's important to stay fit and to eat properly and to train properly. And I hope I will have the possibility to perform next year in Tokyo.
How is disabled sports or Paralympic sports is viewed in Sweden? Do you have support from the National Swedish Sports Federation? Do you have support from the ministry, the Swedish government? Are you inclusive when it comes to society, how people view you? Is there any discrimination?
We work very hard with not having discrimination, and we are, because it's been some tough years from very hard, and we're not on the same level as able-bodied sportsmen, but we're getting there little by little, and we get support from the National Federation. But I suppose it's not as much as the other athletes that are representing Sweden in the Olympic Games.
Also, when it comes to the development of athletes from one event or from one stage to another, I know you have quite a remarkable success in your sporting career. Whoever goes to the Olympic Games, the Paralympics to win gold medal, that is no small feat. but consistently from 2012 up to some point in 2018, you dropped from your world #1 ranking position, but you later took it back again. What sort of motivation, passion and zeal you put into your own sports?
So excited to play every game I play. And it's so important for me to develop my kind of playing and to get better at what I do. So for me, of course, I'm very proud that I was the world #1 for so many years, and I was able to get it back. But every player are really good, and you really have to stay on your game to be able to be there, to focus, to concentrate, and it all makes me a better player, I think.
Are there some young sports stars in Sweden, especially those in Paralympics, that you are inspiring to making sure that they achieve the success story that you've also achieved, or maybe even better than you?
I hope that I can be an inspiration to the young ones and to the sportsmen coming from behind in different sports. I also hope I can be an inspiration for people, able-bodied or disabled people, to be able to see that it's possible to do sports in any way, even if you're an athlete on elite level or if you just do it for fun.
Finally, Anna, the Paralympic Games is going to be in August next year, 2021, in Tokyo, Japan. Do you think you can go on there and become champion again?
That's what I'm aiming for. I really hope I can do it. It will be so tough competition, and I will say I really have to do my A games at that time. But I will try my best, and I hope it will be enough.
Thank you very much for your time on Qsports.
Thank you for having me.
That was Anna Karins, the world champion and Paralympic champion there in wheelchair table tennis, speaking to us from Gothenburg in Sweden. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, Haji Drame, the media officer of the Gambian National Paralympic Committee, joins us on the show to talk about Gambian Paralympics, the lack of support, how far could they have gone if the support is there, and the effect of COVID-19 on their sports in general. Welcome back, and thank you very much if you're joining us. This is Qsports, and I'm Mamutu Gajaga. On part 2 of the program, we're talking about Paralympic sports. Some people would call them disabled because they sit on a wheelchair. Some of them use crutches, some of them use some walking aid. That is physically, but mentally they are sound as every one of us. And in the studio, one of them who is doing very well in his live, in his sports reporting, that is the media officer of the Gambian National Paralympic Committee. Haji Drame is also a broadcaster. He presents the flagship program on West Coast Radio, that is Sportsfile. Haji, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Momodo Gajaga. It's good to be with you again.
We're going to talk about disabled sports, Paralympic sports. That's its global name, the International Paralympic Committee, IPC. In the Gambia, you are their voice. First, let's look back a little bit. Is there much information when it comes to disability sports and Paralympic sports in the Gambia?
Thank you very much once again. That's a very good question, Momodo. Yes, there is much to report about para sports in the Gambia. Why we could not do that before is because of the platform that was given to us was not enough to be able to give the proper information to people as to how we develop our para athletes in this country. But we go back in 2001, 2002, 2003 when we started doing something in para sports. That is why always when we sit in a platform like this, it's good to make mention of people who have paved the way for us to be part of a para sports or para organization today. We started with few athletes, but those athletes to other countries, we are just like champions. And that is because of the determination. You know, that is something that the Gambia have. You know, Gambia will not look at the size of a competition or the level of competition where it's going, but you always want to make sure that at least he made a point wherever he's living, people will be talking about this is a Gambian and he has done something. So back in 2003, the Gambia Paralympic Committee was established and, you know, registered with the National Sports Council, the Gambian National Olympic Committee. So, you know, since then, things has been going. You know, we have organized championship before even having an international participation or international competition. In 1999, 2005, 2007, a wheelchair basketball was hosted here, you know, between Gambia and Mauritania. You know, Gambia participated in that competition in 1999, in 2005, and in 2007. These were all championships that were recognized, you know, with the African Paralympic Committee. Back in 2002, we hosted a national event with 6 clubs across the country. But you ask many of my colleagues in the media, they will tell you, we've never remembered Gambia National Paralympic Committee organizing a national event. It's because there was no record there for them to see and to be able to educate those who want to join us today. But there was a national event where 6 clubs participated, and it was a kind of exhibition where people come, you know, not feeling aside, you know, wanting to prove something right, or some, you know, to our able-bodied folks. Because sometimes when somebody sits in a wheelchair, try to do the basketball, somebody will want to ask, how did this guy going to do a basketball?
Basketball, yeah.
But that is,
that's the perception.
That's the perception.
So sending the right message there that, okay,
yes,
we might be sitting on a wheelchair or using crutches,
yes,
but we can do what you able-bodied, people who call themselves able-bodied, can do.
Exactly, Mamadou. And in 2010, we organized another regional exhibition where, you know, we invited, you know, people from Basse, people from CRR, people from NRR, you know, to come and, you know, at least give them a taste of how it is, you know, to stand in a platform, do something that you have passion for. Because it used to be a taboo. Yeah. When you tell people that this is disabled is going to play basketball, it's going to play, you know, a sitting volleyball. But now, you see, the perception has changed. Because we have to also give credit to the media now, because the media has also, you know, start working, you know, intensively with us. You know, they are following our developments. When Demba Jaju went to Tunisia in 2011 for that qualification for London 2012, not many Gambians knew about Paralympic sports.
Yeah.
But Demba went there. As soon as he won that bronze medal, that qualified him for the first time, Gambia to participate in the international championship, people start to, you know, ask questions about Paralympic sports. And he got the qualification, not by wildcard. Aissatou Nyang was, you know, went through there by, you know, through wildcard, because the Paralympic movement is a movement that always want to be gender balanced. You know, if the male folks can qualify, they will always try to bring female folks, so that at least can also motivate those with disability in the female, you know, side, can also, you know, be inspired to say, look, these are things that we can do. If she can go to London 2012, why not me? I can go to any other Paralympics. Then Demba made it. When Demba qualified, Gambia was not going to the 2012 to go and win medal, but we were going to send a signal that we are in the making.
Yeah, we are in the making.
We are coming. And we have this potential in this country. And after the 2012, Demba keep going. Demba participated in many events. He went to Lyon in France, where he participated in the World Athletic Championship, Dubai on many, many occasions. Malantamba was the same, and Aissatou Nyang was the same. But Demba should be mentioned because Demba is the one who has raised our flag to an international level. Because whenever you go, you talked about Gambia, Demba will be mentioned. So to us, he is our ambassador.
He's the darling of the Gambia when it comes to Paralympic sports.
I used to take pride when I go and I see colleagues who will say that, where's Demba? And I say to myself, then Gambia is making headway in parasports. But some of the things that is disturbing parasports in this country.
We will come there.
Yes.
Just hold on. Haji, this is a sport that is part of the Gambia. It should be supported both by the private sector and, of course, government. First, the sports infrastructure in the Gambia is absolutely poor.
Yes.
And when it comes to people who are living with disability,
yes,
access is the problem. whether it's at this stadium, whether it's other sporting venues, or even getting access to get into a car and go to the Independence Stadium, mostly in public transport, he's going to waste our time, or he or she is going to waste our time. So we are not going to stop briefly to get the person's wheelchair in the back of the car or the person's wheelchair on top of the car to make sure that, you know, we give the person that due respect and take him or her to the stadium so that he or she can go and participate in the various sporting disciplines that are available. That alone must be very disturbing.
Well, it's a disturbing situation, Gajaga. Before I go to the way we are even seeing in the public areas or public assets like buses, things that we all share, that we all own. Let me just stay with the sport before I move there. In most of the occasion, you go and attend a meeting where you are part of an, an institution. Like for instance, we always take the National Sports Council as a sample. That is the sports body that governs all sporting associations in this country. So we should be equally treated there. But sometimes you go, especially when they have a meeting in the boardroom, and you start looking at things that will discourage you of wanting to be part of the gathering. You know, persons with disability, and that place is not friendly, it's not disability friendly, and you are meeting at the board room, and how do you want that person to go there? It's not insured. Is he going to take the risks to try to climb? What about if he fall down? Who is going to take responsibility? So this is something that we always challenge the government. If you want to promote sports, and if you want to promote para sports, you must improve the infrastructure. That is the only way we will be able to do what we believe, can compete our able body. Because sometimes we don't understand, when you say disabled, persons with disability, people tend to understand those who sit on the wheelchairs. Yes. But sometimes unable body move, having a disability, but disability,
yeah. Especially mental disability.
That's why I always
in one way or the other, we are all living with a mental disability.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why sometimes when I sit, I told you, we are just preparing a platform for those who are going to join us with Gajaga. We do not pray for nobody to join us as people with disability. But you leave your house today, you are involved in an accident. Listen. If you are not prepared, psychologically you will not be able to, you will not be able to cope with the situation. That is why in most of these developed nations, people can cope in the situation immediately when they find themselves in that situation, because already the platform is there for you.
There for them.
But there's never a way that, this country, you can even feel that this is what they're trying to do. And we challenge the government, because we are key stakeholders, and we are citizens of this country, and we should be given that respect, and we should be given that opportunity to be able to go anywhere we want to go. You go to the hospital sometime. You go and sit there. Some of our athletes will go there. They have a problem with their ears. Some are deaf. Nobody is there to interpret what that person is struggling with.
Using sign language.
Sign language. So these are things that we need to go. But as the chat goes, I think we're going to talk about the bill in. But the public bosses, this is the terrible situation, Modugaja. I experienced that. I was in a motorcycle coming, and I saw one of my colleagues sitting on a wheelchair, wanting to board a taxi. This guy came out the taxi, but it was like he was not really to help that lady to get into that taxi. He was like saying the suma buntabi the fayaho. Yeah. I felt bad.
Complete discrimination.
That's a complete discrimination. And the person is not going to use your car free. It's going to pay. So why should you go down and look at the person because of his physical condition. And you return back to your car? Do you know psychologically how can that damage someone?
Someone.
But these are something that we need to, it's going to be very difficult, but gradually we will also relent.
I have seen something in your organization that really inspired me. Okay, despite the lack of support from a government and from other agencies, but through your international partners and also things that you are able to do on your own, you've consistently been attending international forums where the Gambia is represented, and you've also consistently made sure that when there are international competitions, you took part. How are you able to do this?
Well, we must make mention of one, that is the president, despite not being in town, has a huge international experience. He has a great connection outside.
Suleiman
Koli, Mr. Suleiman Koli. In many of the instances, what happened is, there'll be a competition. You know, in most of the competition, disabled sport and able-bodied sport is different. An able-bodied sport, you can go with a coach. Sometimes you can even go with only an athlete. The athlete will serve as a coach. But with a para sport, you have to go with somebody that will be as an assistant, that will support you. Yeah. So that is why it is always difficult for us to get into international competition. But fortunately for us, he has that connection and that link. Most of the time, the international fee will be waived. And he will look for connection in the Arab world. He is very well known in the Arab world because of his experience. You know, sometimes, that's why when last time we spoke, I told you, there should be a ranking in this country. Last year, 2019, we were one of the few associations that went to a lot of competition and without recognition. We were in South Africa. We were in Saudi Arabia for the first time, you know, competing in a sitting wheelchair. We went with 15 members of our association. And those members were, you know, let's say, founding members of this association. They went to Saudi Arabia, participated as the only African country. Because Saudi organized this international championship for people with impairments. So because of Suleiman was there at the time, he has that connection, he was able to bring that link so that Gambia participated. And we went with 15 members. Most of them participated in a sitting wheelchair, volleyball. And immediately after that, they were given the chance to go and do Umrah. And we went,
so look at what sports can bring.
What sports can bring. We looked at other sports that we believe we can also develop well. Powerlifting, which I end up being, you know, a coach.
Yeah.
Because going out, you know.
Remember, you went to Nigeria with.
We went to Nigeria. We went to Kazakhstan. First was in Algeria. I went with Modou Gamo. I went with Aida Nyang, and that is where Modou Gamo started, you know, showing the world what he can do. He could not participate in the championship because we were just new into that. So we made some criteria and we could not make it. But again, the IPC said through, you know, this collaboration with Suleiman, no, we are going to give them chance in Kazakhstan. We went to Kazakhstan, where you have the late Abdurham. That was the world champion, the Iranian who passed away this year, immediately after the Nigerian championship. He passed away. He's the world champion, the Paralympic champion. Modou Gamo competed and he managed one goal lift. Everybody was like saying, what is happening? Gambia is coming, these people say they are not training, they don't have facility, and now he's competing among the top rankers. He managed one good lift. Nigeria, we were in the headlines for the good reason. He managed 3 good lifts. So what about if this support is given here? We have almost more than 20-something outing, but only 6 government support, Mohamed.
That is very sad. I was going to come to that. You have more than 20 engagements internationally. You want to compete, you want to attend international conferences, but out of this 20 plus, it's only 6 that government supported. Is it the government also taking the perception of society, disability is inability? Because of course disability is not inability. They are very able in all aspects. I've seen and interacted with people who are living with physical disability, I would say. But mentally, there is nothing wrong with these people. I think the support from government is something. Have you been talking to them? Have you been putting these things to them that we are not getting the due attention and the due support that we're supposed to get?
Yes, we've been meeting them, and we are glad to tell you that, or inform you that they have been so, you know, welcoming these days, you know, because wherever we call them now, they'll want to come and listen to what we are going to say. Some of these things were put on the table because you cannot give our able-bodied folks much attention and forget about people with disability, because most of the time when we look for sponsorship, we feel discriminated because at some point they will tell us we'll see what we can do. We don't need to be pitied. We need to be given what is ours. We are going to represent the Gambia. If I'm going out, I don't go like Haji Drame. I don't go by the name Haji Drame. When I was going to South Africa with Mama Fall for the administrative capacity, OCP capacity building, we were the only country with young members in that house. You just spoke to a Paralympian. She's 40 plus. This is what happened when you go internationally. You see people with grays. They have been in the system for almost 40 years. 50 years they've been in the system, and some of them are still athletes. Some of them are still, administrators. I and Mama were there as the youngest. And when we presented ourselves, they were saying that, oh, your country have future. But you will not be able to tell them the actual facts.
Yeah, the things
that we're going through here. Because it's because of the determination that the leadership of this association have. That is where we are moving. But if we were going to sit down and wait for the support that other associations are receiving, we were not going to be here talking about disability sports today.
You were meant to be part of the Paralympic sports, that is the Paralympic Games in Tokyo this year, unfortunately due to the impact of the COVID-19 that's been cancelled. And also Malantamba was supposed to be in the qualifiers in Morocco, but that's also cancelled until when the COVID-19 at some point returns back to normal. He's expected to participate in the qualifiers, and now Tokyo is going to be in 2021. What are some of the programs that you've been putting in place?
Yes, now we're looking at the next window for qualification or classification, because the IPC at the international level are also considering the fact that there are members of associations who are sitting in this lockdown are not doing anything. They are not training. The facilities are not there like other countries, like developed nations. Let's take the Gambia, for instance. All our athletes are not training. They are all home. Even Modogamo, who is 75% into Tokyo, is not training now. So if there's any championship tomorrow or next tomorrow, you'll not be able to see the performance that we saw in Nigeria, that we saw in Kazakhstan, and that we saw in Algeria. But what we are looking at now is the next window for classification and qualification. And we will write to the international body and look at sports that we believe we can earn qualification. Because we do not want to go to Tokyo 2020 or 2021, with wild card. Countries are moving forward, so we want to move forward as well. This situation of wild card, you'll be going there and people will not have the belief that you can do something. But when you go with this qualification, even your competitors will know that this guy has had this competition through merit, not wildcard. So they'll put you in their plans. So there are many events that are coming because we understood immediately the travel bans and these restrictions are lifted. There will be some qualification in different places where we can go. In athletics, Dubai is still ready to host the international last event for Tokyo 2020, where we are preparing to send 4 or 5 athletes there. And we are not even taking the basketball, wheelchair basketball out of the issue. Because
So wheelchair basketball and all of that sort. Haji Drame, we wish you all the best of luck in your upcoming engagements, especially when it comes to qualification for the Paralympic Games Tokyo 2021. It has been a fantastic discussion. But on that note, we say thank you very much for watching this broadcast. Until we come your way next week, keep on sporting and bye for now.